Hello, I'm Joseph Ashley, and I'm here to talk to you about the Gospel of Mark. The Gospel of Mark author is anonymous, and it's traditionally held that John Mark was the writer of this Gospel. It covers the period from baptism of Jesus to his resurrection, and was most likely written between the years 65 and 70. The Gospel of Mark emphasizes on Christ, the Son of God, proving that he is indeed the Son of God. If you look at the Gospel, you'll find that it's the shortest of the Gospels, and we'll be concentrating on Mark 10, verses 36 through 45. I'm going to read that for you. Actually, it's 35 through 46. 35 through 45. Then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to him teaching. They said, "We want you to do for us whatever we ask." "What do you want me to do for you?" he asked. They replied, "Let one of us sit at your right and the other at your left in glory." "You do not know what you are asking," Jesus said. "Can you drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism I am baptizing with?" "We can," they answered. Jesus said to them, "You will drink the cup I drink, and be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with. But to sit at my right or my left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they became ignorant with James and John. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be the first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." During this time, Jesus is preparing his disciples for his departure. Meanwhile, his disciples are still not getting it. His disciples are quite content to believe themselves to be members and heirs of an earthly kingdom. Christ is preparing them for an eternal kingdom. He's talking of those of his disciples who are now trying to get a rule alongside him in his kingdom. Clearly, if Jesus' kingdom is not on earth, they certainly will not be ruling beside Jesus. But they are looking to find and be led in such a way as to find a physical leader. The nation of Israel at the time had been searching for a Messiah who would ultimately deliver them from the hand of the Roman Empire. Now, they were faced once more with this thought in their mind, thinking of authority beside Jesus. The one at his right hand and his left is his throne in their minds, an earthly throne. They're not getting that his kingdom is not from this world. Christ's kingdom is a kingdom that is broad. It is not from this world. It is from another world. It is from heaven. So his disciples are not getting the message. Jesus isn't there to set up a physical kingdom yet on earth. He's there to die and set the prisoners free from sin. We also find that Jesus grants the request in this chapter to some extent. We find later on that those two disciples will also suffer crucifixion and martyrdom for the cause of the gospel. Jesus here also speaks about the fact that it is not his position to give away, but for those who are ordained. He is referring there to the cross. Two prisoners will be to his right and to his left. It will not be those two apostles. Going further on, Jesus will say in verse 44, "And whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." Christ, in this section of the gospel, also brings the first and the last into account. It is one of the common themes in a majority of the Gospels, 3 out of the 4. Christ talks about being a servant of people rather than being first. Jesus Christ is preparing his disciples for his own crucifixion, which will be to pay for the debts of sins. Let me remind you that they had been going through a dialogue with the scribes and Pharisees. He had told them that he was going to be put to death. Over the past verses, he had said it 3 times, and the message was not being received by his disciples. This is important when examining the Gospel of Mark because it puts in context the message that the disciples were indeed not getting the message. As Christians, we are called upon to get the message, not be slaves in the sense of being outdated in our beliefs, but slaves in the fact that we are servants of others. We are to carry our lives out to humbly rather than exalt ourselves over others. And this is the message being expressed in the Gospel of Mark, as well as the proof that Jesus is indeed the Son of God who came into the world and is indeed the redemption for sins.